Okay,
Hillary, do you have a spirit, Patrick?
An agenda pack?
Yes.
I have.
Thank you.
I could do it like somebody.
okay, I'll call the planning board meeting to order. Like to welcome all of you for coming and showing an interest in what's going on. The first thing on our agenda is, oath of office for Joan, who's been away when the rest of us were sworn in, so.
I, Joan Strader. I, Joan Strader. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and maintain. That I will support and maintain. The Constitution and laws. The Constitution and laws. Of the United States. Of the United States. And the Constitution and laws. And the Constitution and laws. Of North Carolina. Of North Carolina. Not inconsistent therewith. Not inconsistent therewith. And that I will faithfully discharge. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of my office. The duties of my office. As a member of the planning board. As a member of the planning board. Of the town of Seven Oaks. Town of Seven Oaks. So help me God. So help me God. You're welcome. You can proceed.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Nice to be there.
Next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, and everybody has a copy, and if you've got a chance to look at them and see if there's any additions or corrections.
Jim, I did find one thing, I don't think it's accurate. On page 3, about halfway down, it says zoning administrator Barnes advised that NCSB 667 prohibits regulations applied to STRs only. Any regulations that apply to all owners equally, such as parking limits. Is that correct? So you said that. I'm sorry, what? Page 3, about halfway down. Zoning administrator Barnes.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I listened online, and yes, he said it. I remember him saying it.
I can clarify if you would like to.
Okay,
I wasn't present at the meeting, but Senate Bill 667 is that just a proposed bill. It is not a law yet. So we can't enact anything in that yet because it is not past the legislative process.
well, that's the one that was introduced January a year
So I think it
ago.
was in April of 2023.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but around that time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It is not past legislation.
Right.
So
That's not my question.
Okay, what's your question?
I'll repeat it.
Okay,
Zoning administrator Barnes advised that NCSB 667 prohibits regulations applied to STRs only. Any regulations applied to all owners equally, such as parking limits. Is that accurate?
I would like to say the intent of the sentence is that the short-term rentals that they regulate, they can't apply only to short-term rentals, but it would have to be applied to all owners. So that's
I think that's what we were trying to say.
the intent, and I know it's not.
That's wrong also. That's what I'm trying to say. North Carolina SB 667 says just the opposite. And the minutes are done to have accuracy. That statement is not accurate, regardless if it's passed or not. That's not the point. The point is, in the minutes, that statement, to me, in the minutes, I've read the bill several times. It says just the opposite. So what I'm saying is,
what?
it says, well, you can read it yourself. It says it doesn't prohibit. It actually, that's the whole point of that bill. I mean, y'all can read it yourself.
Did you read
That's what
the
you're saying.
exact area where it says that?
That's the point. It doesn't say that. That's what I'm saying. It's
No,
not
that says
accurate.
the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not accurate. So I would say that sentence needs to be struck.
You know, I mean, I know what you're saying. It doesn't prohibit the regulations. I mean, it is a regulation. It is a table of regulations, I think the Senate bill is. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that that statement is not accurate. That's all.
I'm fine with change.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, I'm just saying that statement is not accurate. And the minutes need to be, that's the whole point of minutes, is they need to be accurate, and that's not accurate.
So it should say what?
It shouldn't say anything at all, should we just strike that sentence?
Right.
It's not, it doesn't reflect that Senate bill. The Senate bill doesn't say that, so that thus it's not accurate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Even where, yeah, even though it's just a proposed,
It doesn't, the
Right.
point is, look, the statement has to be accurate.
right,
In the minutes, it doesn't matter what it is we refer to, it needs to be accurate, so it's not a big deal.
just think
strike it.
it ought to be struck from the minutes.
That's my opinion, it's not accurate. If y'all think it's accurate, then we'll leave it in there. If someone showed me in that bill that that's
There's
accurate.
on page 2, under point 2, partway down, it says, and just to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. As part of the permitting process authorized under subdivision 1 of this subsection, restricting the number of occupant vehicles to 1 vehicle per bedroom. And a city may adopt an ordinance rule that regulates short-term rentals by doing that.
Correct.
So they can restrict the number of occupant vehicles to 1 vehicle per bedroom. If I read it right.
I don't understand
You're
what that has to
allowed-
do with the sentence I just read.
I'm not sure what the difference is we're discussing either, but
Like I say, if you don't find that bill where it states that, I'm fine with it, but it doesn't. It says just the opposite. That's the whole point of the bill.
It says that they can restrict the number of occupant vehicles to 1 vehicle per bedroom.
well, is that not what that says?
That's not what it says. I mean, I'll read it again if you want. I mean, I'll read it again. We're not talking about parking or occupancy. We're talking about that one sentence. That's all we're talking about. If it's accurate, show me in the bill that it says that. It doesn't say that. Like I say, I just want to be accurate in the minutes.
Okay, you want to move that be struck?
I move that we strike that sentence.
Okay, have a second to the motion?
Seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay. Please remove that from the minutes. Okay, any other corrections or addition?
It's minor, but I just want to make sure I understand. On page 2 at the bottom, where it says discussion and questions to the planning board and applicant Smith. This is topics included. It says horse trailers with power input accommodations, and he said he would not have those. Are we just saying we talked about it and not that?
The discussion, I kept it
Just the
broad.
discussion.
It was a broad.
Yeah.
That's fine then.
Yeah, in his presentation, that was one of the things that was
Okay.
asked about. Okay, we have a couple of new items that have come up. We haven't discussed them in our meeting, but, and one of them is the tiny houses that was proposed with the, proposal that you were talking about. And he was asking to, put tiny houses or houses of under 500 square feet on his property up here where the stables are. He has now changed his plans and has moved where he's gonna build houses, and his statement is now that he's gonna build like 1,100, 1,200 square foot houses, I understand. So is there any discussion on there, or do we need to discuss this situation at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Why did he change his mind?
I think it just, for the time frame it's going to be to make a rezoning change or to make a, Baton Rouge park malls is what he was particularly interested in and have to either classify, make a new classification for RVs to be permitted within the city limits, or to make a new zoning district overlay or something. The time is just going to be more than I think he would put into it. And, so I think, he just decided to go with modular homes, since they're permitted within the town, just like the cycle home. This is kind of a quicker turnaround. They go ahead and go up to, 1,100-1,200 square foot modular home.
What it amounts to, I think he even changed his whole site plan and moving those small houses to another place on his property and that sort of thing, but at this time, and he hadn't presented any, request for, approval or anything, but that's what his discussion is at this point in time.
He's proposing to put the new homes, whether they're cycle or modulars, on the 7 acres that's currently zoned LDR.
Okay.
Whether that would allow for any kind of zoning changes or anything that the planning board would have to take action on.
I have a question. Does he have any multifamily zoning?
He does. Yeah, he's got about 8 acres, I believe, of HDR, 8 or 9 acres. That backs up to the condos that are there at the tennis court.
Yeah, he was, I don't know, I was
So I don't have
probably looking at him.
Yeah, where the road goes in up above where the two,
That's right.
city wells are,
Yes.
that's his access to,
Right.
one of his accesses to the property.
That's it. Yeah, this is the stable right here, basically. And then this is the HDR. This is the LDR where it'll be put in the homes.
And Jim, it's real, I appreciate you letting me know, I emailed you this, and you let me know that information, it's good. It's possibly great if you could, like, someone makes a change, like, when we left 2 months ago, we weren't really sure, there were so many questions, and he wasn't sure, we weren't sure,
Yeah.
a lot of things going on. And if he makes changes like that, would you also share that with the committee? Just a quick email, say, hey, this guy decided to pull his application, he decided to do modular, it'd be a good thing, let us all know.
Yeah.
The one thing, like I say, when we left that meeting, there were so many questions, and a lot of things I didn't know. Like I say, it was a learning experience for me. But, what the guy, those homes, the mini homes, tiny homes, mini homes, they have these new names now.
Yeah.
I mean, they have little different names now. They're very nice. I was impressed how neat these things are. But they're still mobile homes, correct? By all definitions, they're a mobile home. And it's kind of like a big
Recreational vehicle.
Well, would it be necessarily called a recreational vehicle?
That's the way the title, that's the way they're.
Because he's on a chassis. And then he
But
was
mo-
fence around.
But mobile homes are on chassis. So that's what I'm saying. And this is where I'm kind of getting to. Like I say, I was really, for a while there, I thought we were going to put a mobile home park in Several Devils. I said, this doesn't make much sense to me. And one thing I agree with Jim, after that meeting, he says it in the minutes here, the planning board needs to create standards and regulations, and look at this and maybe have a clearer definition. The difference between a manufactured home, like he's going to put in now, a mobile home, tiny homes, mini homes, and RVs. Like I say, it was blurred, and I wasn't sure which direction we were going. And I think a lot of people, and I had people that watched the meeting, came with me and said, "I don't think a mobile home park in Seven Devils." I go, I don't think so. I don't think so. And so a lot of people were concerned about that, and I didn't really know either, because when I read the UDO under Article 12, it says manufactured, then in parentheses, mobile home. But there's a difference.
There is.
But it is not clear in here. You see what I'm saying? The lines are blurred here. And for him to put a mobile home park, mobile homes in there, which they were, and they were nice, he would have to change zoning to general business, correct? That's correct. And that's probably not gonna happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I said, that was very confusing to me and to others in this town. And I think it would be great if we could have some clarity in this document. So we don't, because they come up with new names now.
mini home, tiny homes, and I'm like, oh, you know, but they're still, when they're all said and done, it's still a mobile home. And, I just want to make sure, in the guy's application, hypothetically, let's say we approved it. We would have been in violation of Article 12, correct?
Oh, yeah, of the Article 12 being about approving manufactured homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We couldn't approve it without a rezoning change.
That's what he was applying
Well,
for, rezoning.
You want a
It was,
special-
his application,
It was-
this thing was very
No, he
fluid.
wasn't.
Yeah, because he started out wanting the RV
Right.
classification, added to the permitted, table of permitted uses in the, recreational business district. That was the application.
But, yeah,
But then it kind of evolved into this discussion about,
right.
well, you can do this or that, and, you
That's
know.
right. So the original application doesn't talk about zoning. Am I right? He just wanted to modify, that's what I'm saying. But the discussion changed as we went, we're like, we were trying to help the guy, you know, like, we want to be successful, I'm all for that. But the original application was for modifying the recreational vehicle board.
That's right.
And if we would approve that, we'd have been in violation of Article 12.
you know, when he left, we had a long way to go before we.
Well, I get all that because we were like going in circles.
Yeah,
So-
we would ask him to revise the application.
And he talked to you, when he applied for it, he talked to you, right?
Yeah.
Did you let him know that he couldn't do that because it had been in violation of Article 12?
Well, changing the classification for the RV was the original conversation.
Right.
That wouldn't have been a violation of Article 12.
That would have been compliance.
Well, yeah, that was,
But
that's
that
what I'm
was
saying.
it was going to lead to a rezoning down the road more
Yeah.
likely to do that.
But I was like, going, that's not an RV. It's not an RV. You know, it's not like a fifth wheel. It's a mobile home. And that's where I'm trying to get.
But I'm saying the industry classifies it that way, not me. I didn't classify it.
Yeah, but we as a town need to classify it. So we have clarity. I don't, industry.
Well, we can make a definition of what.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
can't classify it because that comes from the state.
Exactly.
Government.
Exactly.
But we can make a definition that says what is permitted or not permitted within.
Right. And that way, so we don't have that miscommunication where we're trying to go, well, you want an R, that's what I was asking, is RV, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And it caused a lot of confusion, at least for me, I know others in the public. So I would like to make a motion that, with Eddie's expertise, with some of these issues we just talked about, is maybe clearing this up. So we know, those definitions, because they're changing.
Here, what are you, I'm sorry.
This is
For the
part of
minutes.
Article 12 of the UDO.
Okay, Article 12. Because along that same line, my thoughts is, as we were coming into this, I saw tiny homes show up again. It's like we have RVs, we have tiny homes, we have manufactured.
Yeah.
We're getting ready, one of our to-dos is to update the CLUP and others. So is this the opportunity, instead of just going after the ones that we're just now talking about, take a step back and go, is a glamping tent or something we want to do, right, yurts, whatever they are, what's the next thing, and go in there and just be very intentional with every single one of them.
And I agree. There's some clarity that we go through and look at. I've started reading this in more detail. I go, well, we need to tweak this a little bit here and there. So we don't have that. And plus, the guy kind of wasted his time. It wasted our time. We're like, I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, because when he left, he was the same place he was when he started.
Exactly.
But he at least brought up what he
I
said he
didn't
was going
have
to do
the
something.
answers for the guy either.
Yeah, Jonathan and I, in our original conversation, as Mr. said, tried to tell him modulars was probably his best way to go.
Right.
Yeah, but he had this concept in his head of these,
Yeah.
park model RVs, and that's what he wanted, and so we didn't know how to steer him anyway but to the planning board, because the changes have to come from you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So my motion is for Eddie to look at this, use that new language so it's real clear to applicants, so we don't waste their time either. Was there a fee for that application?
there was
Oh, geez. Okay. How much was it?
about
Ow. Oh, man. See, now I got a personal, and my back up a step. Like I say, his application, if approved, would have been in violation of Article 12. So he should never have applied.
I don't think with what he was
We
asking for.
we
is
can't
that
talk him
true?
out of the blind, we tried.
I sure wish we could have. I feel bad now. I feel bad this guy's out $500 when he should, I knew he probably did everything he could, but, that's a shame.
I mean,
But
It's a
I'm gonna
shame.
go back, where is it out of? Because he asked for a special use permit and recreation business table of uses. He asked for a special use permit, so is Article 12 not allowed for a special use permit?
it wasn't for what he wanted.
What he wanted.
Yeah, he would, so if he got a special use permit, we approved that, we got a
Well, the
compliance.
board of adjustment would approve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
we were a long way from there. We were just trying to get him to fit in somewhere where he could apply for a special use permit.
Yeah, and I'm trying to ask that question back, so
Yeah,
would Article 12 would we be out of compliance if we said, yes, adjustment board, go do, make this happen for him, or the special use permit's okay in Article 12?
yeah, you just said it. If we would approve that, we would have been in violation of Article 12.
He would have had to probably made an application for it.
Yeah, after we approved it, then we've been in violation. So we're going back, it's going, like I say, we all agree, this is confusing. So, like I said, I'll make it quick, guys, sorry. Make a motion that it goes back and looks at Article 12, makes changes, and we didn't have to do this right away, because hopefully we'll have another mini home request soon. But maybe look at the whole thing, does that have to be done this week? But it's something I think needs to be changed. So I'd like to make a motion to change Article 12, update it for those considerations we just talked about. Sorry.
That's it.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second. You second? Okay. Have a motion and a second for Eddie to, look at revisions for that part of the Article 12. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
A little chore for you.
I'm sorry, man.
Okay.
Man, I was spinning everywhere. I appreciate that.
Next thing on our agenda is tree ordinance. And we have I guess it's a recommendation from the Forest Service about tree ordinance.
I'll defer to member Ryan. Ryan asked, Stu asked that these items be placed on the agenda, and he forwarded me the brochure you have there from the Forest Service, so I'll let Stu
Thank you.
handle that.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
I apologize. I had communicated with the North Carolina Forest Service, and we're supposed to have a representative from Watauga County. And he was kind of, I'm not a forestry expert by any means, but he was going to introduce this, and maybe he got caught up in the rainstorm, but he was going to answer questions. But I'll do my best. Maybe we can bring him back. Like I say, this is nothing on the burning down the table here, trying to, has to be done. But history here is I contacted in Raleigh, the North Carolina head guy of the Forestry Service from North Carolina. I said, hey, Seven Devils is a tree city, which is a great thing. I want to thank our leadership, our town council, our mayor for doing that. I think it's a great thing. And we got Arbor Day coming up. I said, is there anything else we can do? What's next? Is there something we can do to save more trees or promote our town, which is a beautiful town of trees? He said, yeah, there's this thing called the Sample Tree Inventory Canopy Cover Assessment Program. I go, what the heck is it? What the heck is that? He goes, well, do you know how many trees you have in your town? I go, no, are you kidding me? I have no idea. He said, do you know how many trees
That's
you
what having you have in my yard.
I don't know how many in my yard. He says, would you know how many you lost over the last couple of years? I go, no idea. He says, do you know places you can put trees in? No idea. He asked me all these questions. I had no idea. He says, that's what that does. He says, this is a neat thing. Other cities and towns in North Carolina have done this. I can share some of that documentation with you, what other cities have done. But what it does is, like I say, I'm not an arborist here, guys, but what it does is it's a matching program. It's a grant match program. I think it's fairly reasonable, in my opinion. It talks about the cost down below. But what it does is it gives a town like ours a baseline of what our tree situation is. It gives us a snapshot, literally an overhead snapshot. It says, this is the percentage of trees you have in your town. So, and from that, you have data you can use to make data-driven decisions instead of just kind of guessing. And from that data, you can make policies and procedures to help save and protect trees. I said, okay, that sounds, I'm okay with that. That sounds like a pretty good idea. He says, I said, it's a comprehensive look on assessing, and then you can actually base that, and you can, I guess, use your data to see how much tree loss you have over the years. And we can say, and part of this is, you know, we love trees. You know, I just got this sheet of paper in front of me showing the growth, the development. Where was that?
Yeah.
Showing the development that's going on. It's mind-boggling on this mountain. And, you know, I'm not going to be someone to say not in my backyard. When they built my house 20 years ago, they cut down all the trees, you know, for the most part, and they put a house there and stuff like that. And you got to have room to put your house and your septic tank and driveway and stuff like that. No problem. But a lot of the development, say like at Hawks Fest last year, that was a hot point. A lot of people, you know, we have some development going on. You know, the developers don't care about trees, at least the ones I know. They want to clear cut everything and build condos and houses and whatever else. Using this data, we can put percentages on how many trees must remain based on our baseline data. And that's a powerful tool. Right now, we don't have anything that looks that way. We're guessing. So I think this thing is reasonable. I asked the guy, okay, a town like ours, he goes, okay, you guys would put up maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4,000, and we would match the other half. Company would come in here and do all this technology. I don't know enough about it, but they'd give us a baseline of what we have as far as trees, and we can make, instead of guessing, make data-driven decisions, which is a good thing.
But the state comes in and does.
State does, well, they contract out to a company.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't have to go around.
No. And they put out, and they get, no, we're not going out counting trees. But he gave me some, the guy, I wish the forest guy, sir, my apologies. We can maybe ask him back at a later date. But I think this is a win-win, a strong statement for our town to show that, you know, we care about trees. This gives us some good data we can use. It also gives information like, hey, here are some places you can put some trees. You know, here are some places, you know, as you lose trees, maybe you can replace. They give suggestions, and I think it's something worth looking at. I think it's something worth looking at. So I'd like to make a motion that we continue investigating this or approve it even. I mean, we're not talking a lot of money here. And of course, this has to go up to the town council.
We can't approve the money. But
No, we can't approve the money, but we can approve it and say, hey, send it up to the town council. By then we get the forest guy to come here and really get some more details about this. I apologize. I guess I had to contact the guy. But I think it's a good thing to us to help us as development continues. And especially if someone wants to develop the Hawks Nest area, you know, we have some data that we can use to help support our natural beauty around here. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this and send it up to send it up to town council. And hopefully by then we can get some more information and get the forest guy back out here. Again, I apologize.
Could we get it up there first?
If you want to do, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
I
I would
apologize.
just like to hear, because it's not about the doing it, right? It's the action after you spend the money and you get the data back.
Mhm.
So what action would we have to take, and what planning would we have to put in, and do we have to wait for the next budget cycle to say if we can or can't? So it would be great if he would come and really share how others in the area, hopefully, are
Yeah.
using it.
And I'm fine with tabling this and get the guy, I have tons of questions for him, and I'm hoping he can answer us and give us some more info. Like I say, this sheet is good, it's laid out and gives really good detail, but there's still some more questions I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
Look, okay, what happens 5 years from now? What happens 10 years from now? And in the meantime, I can share, I'll send it to Eddie and to Jim, a town, I know a couple of towns that have done this already, and show you what they've done with the data. And I think it'd be worthwhile.
Yeah,
So let's, when we table this,
How to utilize it once you have.
exactly, like I say, I don't know, but
Let's just go and table this until we get more
I have
information and maybe get the presentation and.
exactly.
Then we'll-
Okay, let's Jonathan, you know, how big is Southern Gulf County?
About 2.7 square miles.
Not very
Yeah, and like I say, we're talking a couple $1,000 maybe, like I say, from our side, and they match it the other side. So, but like I say, I think it could be a good thing, so I'll table it. I do have a couple more questions about the tree ordinance,
Okay.
if I could, thank you. So thank you for letting me share that, I apologize again.
Yeah, because I couldn't get to the 4,000 from the 1 to 2 square miles, and you go down to 2 square miles. When you look at these estimates down below, you don't get the 4 or even 2, so
Yeah,
having them come in.
yeah, I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
There might be some other, I don't know, so I wish I knew, so. And a part of that too, if you look at the comprehensive land use plan, which we're gonna talk about a little bit, you know, one of the roles of the planning committee, according to that, is protection and preservation of trees. That's one of our goals, or one of our objectives, or missions, so, I think it's important for us to do that, and do what we're supposed to be doing, I guess. And but going along with that, one thing I've noticed is, if this is part of our responsibility, is protection and preservation of trees, and we write ordinances or pass something like this, as I mentioned before, it'd be great if we had data. We have no data. We don't know how many trees, we're clearly going in the negative here, there's no way. I mean, all the construction, building going on, you know, they clear a lot. The trees don't come back there. And that's fine. Like I say, I'm not gonna say not in my backyard kind of guy. So, and I'm happy for people that move here, that's great. But we're not going in the positive on trees, we're clearly going in the negatives. And it's going quickly because of all the building and construction going on. So one thing I would like is if Eddie could share with the committee, every tree or construction permit that comes to your office, you can share with us so we can see the data, see what's going on out there, because we're doing our job blindfolded. Would that be a problem? Sharing those with the plan, because that's our responsibility. Can we do that?
What would you like more than just a list of?
Just the permits, I mean, there's a permit form that,
You're looking for how many trees are cutting down that number?
well, just the permit form, so we can kind of see where the building's going on. And, I mean, Eddie doesn't try to keep count how many trees are coming down, do you? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, see, I didn't think, he doesn't, but we can see the lot, we can see, we can go beforehand and see how many trees are cut down. I have no idea, I have absolutely no idea. So, that data would be beneficial, I think, now, Jim may not care, but I would care to see, so I can see a lot and say, oh geez, how many trees are gonna cut down? So we can have start gathering some data and see what's going on. So we can, if we need to change an ordinance, we have data to rely on, does that make sense? So do I need to make a motion for that? I can't.
Well, we know how many lots have nothing on them, right?
No.
Not built on. Well, yeah, we know how many lots have nothing on them.
Yeah, we
Like, there's no
don't- we don't have
construction
any-
on the
Oh, yeah, right,
We don't
right.
remember the lots.
Yeah.
So we know the number that have nothing, but no home's been built, it's a lot.
Yeah, sure.
We may not know how many trees are on that lot.
Right.
But we know that, so then we know if everybody came in next week and said, I am now going to build on my lot. We have some kind of estimate to say, wow, that's pretty massive, be able to take down, just as a shot at it, right?
And we find that out by him sharing the permits with us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you go, here are the permits of a building, but you would say,
But
Here are
the
empty
permit doesn't
lots.
tell you how many trees are being.
Right, but it tells us where it is. It also permits also tell if people want to trim trees or cut dead trees, we can see that also. I had no idea, we had no idea. We're going blindfold here. And I don't think that data, I would find it beneficial. Or you can just, if no one else wants it, you can just send it to me. I would like to see that.
I worry a little bit, one, we're gonna get an inundation of information, and I'm not sure we'll know how to use, but if there's some way to summarize it, I don't need to see every single application that goes across Eddie's desk. I don't need to second guess his job in doing that and looking at things. So, you know, I don't wanna get us down to that level of minutia. I think if we could find a level, a summary level that we could get some idea of what's going on, that might be sufficient. So
If you don't, let's say, you have a short, you don't have to get those emails. Just say, Eddie, I don't want the emails. I don't want the permit. So you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's that easy.
I'm just saying, as a committee, we should work together on this thing too.
I agree.
You aren't just, one lone wolf on committee, you do things.
I agree. Like I say, you have a choice. I'm giving you a choice.
I
You
think,
can take it or
the
not.
point, I think there's a difference in being a board and the people who actually do the work.
Right.
And so the board is oversight to ask the questions. The board is to say, have you thought? The board isn't to pull it in and know it all. That's Eddie to bring this back. And I think that's where the struggle is right here.
Oh, I am not questioning, this isn't here to question Eddie's job.
No,
I'm just trying to collect data, period. And I'm not gonna use that data and go, hey, why is this happening? Or what? I'm trying to gather data, period. And if you don't wanna share that data, that's fine. But like I said, what's there to hide?
I'm not looking to hide anything, I'm saying find the summary level that works
Mhm.
for the board to make decisions.
Yeah.
Versus, I think we're creating a lot of extra work for the people in the office to say, communicate on every single thing that comes across my desk that has these characteristics. I don't think we need to get down to that level of minutia.
I don't
think
know
we
how
can
much
find
more
some-
information you need to know that there's houses being built on these particular lots or they're proposed to be built. I mean, do you want the actual permit?
Yes. I don't see, like I say, if y'all want them, fine, I would like to have them. Unless there's a reason I can't. Spoke great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you could go forward.
Okay. Then I want to make a motion, I want to make a motion then.
Nope.
Eddie, would you send me the permits as they come in?
There you go. If Don's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Eddie, are they stored somewhere? Correct?
Yeah, yeah, they're stored.
That's what I'm saying, you could pull them, you could go forward.
Yeah, well, I can do that too. But are they scanned, are they scanned and, or
No, they're,
they're just hard copy?
binder, yeah.
Okay. How many do you get a month usually?
Average probably 6 to 7 a month.
Building permits?
No, tree permit.
Oh, tree permits, okay.
The treatment permits are, if they're building a home, they have to put in for a tree permit, correct? Or
That's
that's
part of the construction.
Or if
That's
they
part of
want-
the construction.
Right.
So, how many, well, okay, I can do that, didn't matter. So is it okay if I come down every couple of weeks and pull those? Sure. Okay, perfect. Then, like I say, that way you're not troubled and no one else is troubled. I'll have the data and I'll be happy.
Okay.
So cool. I appreciate it. Hey, one last thing. I got to go my glasses. Sorry, Jim. On the tree, ordinance, let me get the right page here. Here's a question, I wish the tree guy was here. It says, general standards for removal and retention. And there's 6 criteria for tree removal and retention. And it says that the tree is diseased or damaged. How do you determine if they're diseased? How do y'all do that?
Generally, they'll hire an arborist. There's several arborists in this area that will, file a report. They say it's a damaged tree.
Is that required?
It's not required necessarily, but, generally, that's what the applicants do. When they've had somebody come out to their property, evaluate their property, and they say, we need to take this tree out because, of disease or damage. So that's part of generally what they submit to me.
But in getting the tree permit, they don't have to say that it's a healthy tree or a damaged.
They don't have to. Depends on what the criteria is. Sometimes if they're within a certain perimeter of the house, within 10 feet, they can be a healthy tree. If it's potentially want to damage the house, then they allow it to be cut.
But if it's, 50 feet away from the house.
6 feet away from the
And
house.
they say
If it's a big healthy tree and, we need some reason why that tree's got to be cut or needs to be cut.
and they just say it's diseased, you'll say, go ahead and cut it?
I've not had that. I don't think I've had that.
You never had anyone say it's diseased?
Not without an arborist report.
So, it's not required though, but, okay, that helps. And also under the general standards, it has 6 there. You gotta help me understand this too. Under the application, tree removal pruning permit, the 4 blocks down, it says tree removal for view purposes. But that is not one of the general standards for removal. Is that correct?
By the application it is, yeah.
So they can do it in the application, but it's not a part of the tree ordinance, correct?
Apparently not. That's a protocol that's been around before I got here, so.
Okay. Well, I think we need to fix that.
But has anybody gotten permits just for cutting trees for view?
But like I say, it's not a part of our standards. And I'm not saying you can't, I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just saying it's not consistent. The permit's not consistent with the standards. Does that make sense?
I just knew we had some people that had cut some for view without a permit and came in and paid their fee.
We had a guy, we had that guy. So, do you have any recommendations on how to fix this, or?
Yeah, probably just add it into the, I mean, if the council and the board wants to keep, the flexibility of having trees removed for review purpose, then just add it into that standard, says standard number 5, you know.
Well, we should probably wait until we add it to our standards until we do any more tree removal for review purpose, because we're not following our own standards. Does that make sense? But is that fair?
Fair enough.
So, you know, let me make another motion. And also, well, I'll make another, before we make another motion here. In addition, oh good Lord, we shouldn't have gotten my wife involved in telling me, oh good Lord. There's a list of trees in the back, which is a good thing. There's a list of trees that, like say, if someone cuts a tree down illegally, there's some trees listed that recommended to replace the tree. And for example, the guy who came in here a couple months ago, cut a tree down, did you make him, was he required to replace the tree?
No.
It's-
Because he cut it on somebody else's property, and I couldn't make
That's right. If I was that guy, I would make him replace the tree. But the trees listed here, I think 5 of them are non-native. One of them's Chinese. I have some personal issues with that. And some of the Latin names aren't correct. What I'm saying is, yeah, I know you did. But this needs also to be updated.
Well, why don't we refer that back to our tree committee and let them make recommendations to come back to us? I mean, that's why we have a tree committee.
Well, the charge for the trees is to us.
Yeah, the charge, I'm talking about these other things you're bringing up about the trees.
Well, as you recall, remember I said it's the responsibility of the planning for protection
Are you
of
saying
trees.
he's the tree committee?
Huh?
Are you saying he's the tree committee?
No, we have a tree committee. 'Cause his wife is on
Yeah.
it.
And she doesn't know it's a tree committee. I said, you're on the tree committee. She goes, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's an Arbor Day committee. So they don't even know. So, yeah, it was kind of a funny conversation I had with my wife. But like I say, the protection and preservation of trees is us. So I don't understand why it has to go to the tree committee. And this is, they wouldn't write this. I'm fine with them making suggestions, but I'm fine with this committee doing our job.
Well, I just think we have a tree committee, why not get them to do something?
Like I say, I think this is our responsibility according to this document.
Okay.
I'm fine with us doing it. Like I say, I asked my wife, she knows she's on the tree committee. She knows a lot more about trees than I do. And she's the one that gave all these recommendations, so it'd be kind of redundant. But, and there's a couple other things, like say, for example, I like the idea if someone illegally cuts down a tree, they have to replace the tree. Many towns and cities do that. If someone I like the idea of if someone cuts down, has a permit to cut down trees for view, that they replace the tree, but with a lower growing tree. You know, once again, if we're going to talk about protecting the trees in our canopy, we need to start replacing some of these trees we're cutting down. And I have no problem with people having a view, but we can put a tree in there that is not a tall tree, so you keep your view, but also we you know, Jesus, look at all these landslides we've been having.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
It seems like you and Rebecca's already done a lot of work on it. Could you come back with a recommendation, rewrite, or, write with highlights of where you think changes should be? and bring it back that the committee can have in advance to take a look at, and then we can have a discussion?
That I absolutely have no problem, but I was gonna bring it here first and see, if I'll work with Eddie on it, if Eddie wants to, or any other person on this committee wants to see about rewriting it, shaking it up, getting some of the language, the right way. So I'll make a motion that, I invite, I'll get with Eddie, coming down one time.
You think you can do it in one trip?
I'm gonna do it in one trip, Eddie. Eddie's awesome. But, and if anybody else wants to, work on this with us, I think it's fantastic. And if my wife, I don't think she wants to work on it, wants to join, that's fine too. If anyone from the tree committee wants to come up and join, I'm fine with that. Like I said, I didn't know we had a tree committee. My wife doesn't even know she's on it. So, I'll make a motion that, we look at this. Anyone else wants to join to rewrite the tree ordinance? I'll get with Eddie, and massage it and make it better. So that's my motion.
Okay. Have a second?
I second.
Good suggestion, Jeff.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, you got something to do.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Thank you, Ed.
Okay, moving on to, I guess something that we had discussed before, is the, state statute 67, that in turn concerns, short-term rentals. And there's a lot to be said about short-term rentals, but you want to bring us up to date?
Well, Member Ryan asked that this be placed on the agenda, so I'll defer once again to Stu and let him lead us off on the conversation and then go from there.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, John. As mentioned before, there's a Senate bill, North Carolina Senate Bill 667. It's a conservative Republican bill. It was introduced last April, and that's where it stayed. Okay, but I heard mention that it's moving through the Senate. It's not. This thing is dead as a doornail, and it hasn't gone anywhere. It was read and then filed, and it hasn't done anything since. It's been a year. So this thing is, if you know anything about bills, this thing's going nowhere fast. And I'll give you some history. 10 years ago in Florida, and we're talking about a vacation, a real vacation state with some serious short-term rental issues. They introduced a bill 10 years ago, still hasn't passed. It actually it's at the governor's desk, and I kind of doubt he's going to sign it. 10 years. So waiting for this to pass is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, guys. I mean, it hadn't gone to committee, and it's not going to committee this year, obviously. So this thing's not going anywhere. So we're going to wait for this to pass. It might take a decade. And I just don't want to sit on my hands for 10 years waiting for this bill to pass. Okay. However, the bill had some good information in it, and it's a pro. Actually, if you really read it, it's pro short-term rentals. I mean, I get Republicans, I get free market economics, I get that, and that's fine. But it's just to protect. That bill is to protect short-term rentals. Period. However, there's some caveats in it that I think could help with some of the issues. And Eddie, let me ask your opinion. You've read it and you know the situation out there. Probably as anyone else. Is there anything in that bill that could help the town?
Well, I'm sure there is. I mean, there's some, back to the parking requirements, some of those types of things that could alleviate some of the concerns I think the town has.
Yeah.
We can see a lot of towns now go through that. I think they're just pushing ahead of the state and just seeing if everybody's going to challenge them. They're just making their own rules up pretty much on regulating short-term rentals. And some of them are getting challenged. Iredell County right now is in federal court and state court for short-term rentals. Greensboro, city of Greensboro just passed an extensive short-term rental bill where they have spacing requirements for 20 short-term rentals, registration requirements. annual zoning permits required. Yeah, I don't know that this bill is going that far, but I think as this thing keeps evolving and as towns and counties keep getting challenged in North Carolina, I think it's by de facto, it's going to necessitate some changes on the state level. Or these towns and counties are just going to keep on dragging these things through the lawsuits, you know.
But most of these have had lawsuits, have wound up as lawsuits.
Several of them, and Greensboro just started theirs April 1st, so I don't know if anybody's filed a suit against them yet or not, but it'll probably be coming if they haven't. So really right now, I mean, your best way of regulating these things is through US's ordinances and, you know, things we currently have on the books, you know.
And Boone's passed theirs, right?
Both did pass theirs.
And
Yeah.
Loading Rock.
I don't know about Blowing Rock. I'm not sure if they passed it yet or not. I know they passed one and got challenged a couple different times, and so I'm not sure where that stands right now.
They lost both of them.
Lost both of them. So yeah, Boone, you know, they got a little different animal than we've got. You know, what they're worried about is people building multifamily to be converted over to short-term rentals.
Right.
And they're having a problem with that. I mean, it's happening right now. They're trying to get ahead of that, catch up to that. The way I understood Boone's bill, that's what they were trying to look at new things being built. How you have to have it either in a certain zoning district or, you know, segregated, by spacing from other short-term rentals and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, if they don't get that part of the challenge too, you know, eventually, but.
But you know, the interesting thing about Boone, it mimics 667. 667 is a pro short-term rental bill. Who's gonna sue them? It's pro short-term rental. And you gotta understand the players here. I've done a bunch of research on that. But the people who sue the towns, are rental companies who make a lot of money off our town. A lot of money off our town. Make a ton of it. Sorry, Jim. Realtors, realtors are all against this. And then the other person is the people that only use short-term rentals that live 300, 500, 1,000 miles away. They don't live here. They're the ones that are suing. So with a bill like 667, and what Boone's doing in Greensboro is very similar too. They took the footprint of 667. Who's going to sue them? It's pro short-term rental. And what I've read also.
Yeah, but 667 has not been approved, so they can't.
But like I say,
So what's on the books now doesn't allow those.
Look, and that's another interesting thing. If you read around the country, and I think the reason why Boone and Greensboro is doing this is they're trying to get ahead of it. Because if the state, and this is the problem in Florida, if they pass that, they are grandfathering towns' ordinances, short-term rental ordinances in place. After they pass at the state level, you can't do anything, right? That's the problem with waiting, is we lose control to the state. And like I say, I'm not in favor of that. And like I say, if we're waiting, we're going to lose control, get any kind of control over this. There's no telling what we're going to get. Like I say, and I'm not against, the big thing is, what I've read in a lot of these short-term lawsuits, is when there's a loss of revenue. That's where you get in trouble. That's what we're talking about. You know, I don't want to cut anybody's revenue. I just want to cut down some of the issues revolving around short-term rentals. And I think that's fair. You know, like I say, people are worried, you know, fear mongering, oh, we're going to get sued, we're going to sue. How long are we going to wait for the Boone ordinance to go through? How many, what, 6 months? We're going to wait, see what happens? Are we going to wait 8 months for the Greensboro, see what happens? How long do we wait? 10 years? We've already, but this has been an issue. I came to the town council 5 years ago and said, this is a real issue. You know, so this has been going on for a decade. I don't want to wait another decade.
Yeah, the Greensboro bill, or best I understand it, flies really in the face of what the appeals court said to Wilmington.
Yeah.
But if they don't get challenged, it'd be a surprise. You know, because they did registration and did zoning permits, two things that the town of Wilmington tried to do, the appeals court struck it down.
Yeah.
I think Blue Rock tried the same thing.
But then Atlantic Beach won it. Remember? They said you must adhere to the town ordinances. That's what Atlantic Beach. So it's a mixed bag. I get it wrong. It's a mess out there. And I don't want to get the Seven Devils in a financial situation. But
You know, I also don't want the town turning into Motel 6. And that's happened, that's already happened. That happened a decade ago. And it's frustrating. Like I say, unless you live next to a couple of short-term renters, you just don't know how tough it is. So, I want to continue this conversation, but I don't want to wait a decade here, another decade. We are doing a disservice to our residents. And we're talking about, this is the low hanging, 667 and what Boone is doing and other Greensboro, that is the low hanging fruit, y'all. That is the low hanging fruit. You need to read what other states are doing. Oh my gosh. We're doing, what they're doing is so watered down, it's nothing. Other states it's draconian. It is tough on short-term renters. They are putting them in a lot, they're getting some serious rules. What we're doing is nothing. And it's amazing, we're still getting serious. But,
North Carolina's a very pro-property rights state, so.
I get that. And you know, it's this area is a conservative area. I get that. But, there's a price to be paid for this. And I think the residents, and I probably read this also, and y'all need to know this. Just a couple of weeks ago, Asheville is a lawsuit in Asheville. It's the residents filed a lawsuit. Not the short-term renters, the residents have had it. And we need to keep that in mind. You know, we're looking the wrong way probably. Like I say, the residents are starting to have had it. Their rights are being infringed upon. So we need to look both ways and find a happy ground. I like win-win situations. So, like I say, I want to revisit this. I'm okay with waiting a couple months and see what happens, but I don't want to wait a year. Is that fair? Anyone have any thoughts about that? Or?
Well, I think as much, as many lawsuits as have been filed and against towns that have done this, I think we need to be considerate of the fact that we don't want to get sued and, you know, the town have to pay thousands of dollars in lawsuit fees. But I think I think it's something to be considered. And, you know, I read through this, but I didn't really, I didn't spend a whole lot of time considering what could be done and what should be done and that sort of thing. I think there are a few items that we need to put in there, and I don't know how, you know, detail we want to get and that sort of thing, but I think it's something we can look at and try to determine how far we want to go and what is the major things that we want to consider maybe.
Well, I appreciate the open discussion. That's a good thing. Like I say, we have not addressed this. You know, we need to address it, come up with a win-win situation. I don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
You know, who does? But I also don't want to have people that I know sell their houses because they had it. They can't take it anymore. Frustrated, I don't want residents to sue us either. Like I say, y'all need to look at this the other way too.
Yeah.
We're not. Everyone's worried about short-term. No, it's going the other direction. So we need to think about also the rights of the residents that actually live here, not the rental companies out here or owners that live 500 miles away. I mean, sure, they pay taxes too, but we got residents here that this is a real issue. And I guess my last question is, how long do we wait? How long do we wait to see what happens with Boone? Let's say after 6 months, they only have lawsuits. Do we move them? What's the answer?
Well, I don't know what the answer is.
Well, you see, that I have trouble because it's been 10 years now, and we're still not coming up with a plan. And I think that's fair. Like I said, I've had a house here for 10 years, and it's been an issue. I say, you know, I don't want to wait another 10 years. I'm sorry.
Well, so is there a half movement sort of thing to say, we don't have to wait 8 months to say, what would we want ours to look like? You don't have to wait 8 months for that. You can work on that. I'm not saying I'm going to wait 8 months while I've worked on whatever I'm working on and see what happens in these other locations. And I don't know how different the vacation rental policy, which I guess is what Boone is now calling their short-term rental, is changing the name to protect
Yeah,
the
that'll fix it
innocent.
down there.
Yeah, nobody will ever
They'll
think
never
that's
catch
the
that.
same thing.
They'll never catch that.
But how different that would be for what the town of Seven Devils would or wouldn't put in, or what it would look, I don't know. So it's like, do we go through and just say, here's what we think matters or not? Because I did some research on the noise ordinance, right? Boone, it's 10 PM, Sugar Mountain, it's 11 PM, Beach Mountain, it's 10 PM, Lloyd Rock, it's 11 PM, Banner Elk is 9:30, and Seven Devils is 10. So when you look at that noise ordinance, we're in line with what all these other towns have, and actually we're kind of lowering some of the resort town looks. So what would we change or not change?
Well,
How do we look
you don't
at
live,
it?
you don't live next to a short-term rental, hot tub, do you? Because man, let me tell you about the parties. Poor John had to come send his police down one time. I had to call, it was so bad. The police knocked on the front door of the house next to me so loud, they still couldn't hear. His police officer had to walk around down the hill behind the house and yell at the hot tub party to shut up at 11:30 at night. My next door neighbor had a drunk short-term rental passed out on his lawn. He had to call Jonathan to get the police to come get this guy off his lawn. Like I said, y'all just don't, like I said, there's some stories out there that's unbelievable. Sure, I'd love to have the sound, the noise ordinance be 9 PM. I'm fine with that. Like I say, when you have a hot tub party going on next to your house, and you don't have air conditioning, you have to have the windows open, and that party's cranking up at 10 o'clock at night, and you have kids that might need to go to sleep like I did, you would want you'd want it at 9 PM.
Yeah,
So,
but based on
like I
where
said,
we are, they couldn't start at the 10.
What's
Since
that?
our noise ordinance is at 10, so they couldn't start at 10, right? And I'm not gonna say you guys didn't have issues.
Oh, that's
I'm just saying, there's a whole town, 2.7 square miles,
Yep.
right? And while there's places that may have issues, there's places that don't have issues. I have a short-term rental next to me. I don't ever see them, right? So
Yeah, right.
it's not just I'm a short-term rental, therefore I'm a bad person, and I know you're not saying that,
Right.
right? And so sometimes it's just, and it may not even be a short-term rental person, it might be somebody who lives with full-time who likes hot tubs, likes to make noise.
I've got a short-term rental beside me that I live full-time beside. They have a hot tub that I'm in your boat. I rarely have any
Yeah,
issues.
you have issues, so yeah.
It's like I said 2 months ago, 95% of the short-term rentals are fantastic. Are good, they come up here and they are fantastic. That 5% is tough. It can be tough. It just depends where you are. Like I say, now I have to sell my house, move, I have some acreage, it's not a problem. But I'm thinking about those other people that are left out there.
Well, so I guess my question would be, so aside from parking, from noise, from trash, what are the other issues?
Well, the list that permits, it was not the issue, but who do we know?
How are the residents being affected today?
Yeah.
From short-term rentals outside of parking, trash, and noise?
Those are the main ones.
Right.
And a drunk, and sometimes they're drunks line up on other people's yards.
Well, so, but I think all of those are probably run contrary to what we want the residents to experience anyway, right? Whether it's a short-term rental or not, to your point, we don't want people in hot tubs being allowed playing music after 10 PM, right? We don't want trash spreading into other people's properties or being dispersed on, visible property, right? And you don't want parking done in unsafe ways. And do we not have regulations in place to address those?
So I would say we have a noise ordinance
Yeah.
already. We just did the trash last time the town council met, I think, or time before.
Right.
So now you're down to parking.
Yeah.
But, and to be fair, I brought that up, and members of town council were completely against that. They spoke up at this meeting.
And yard maintenance.
So,
Yard maintenance.
yeah, there's problems with parties, football games. They put 20 people in a house with 3 bedrooms. That's a problem.
But
And then in the parking, they like say, you're supposed to, some of these ordinances say 2 people per bedroom.
sure.
See, that's what a lot of these ordinances do. Some people have limit 1 car per bedroom,
Right.
which I like, but like I say, some of the town council members were against that.
I guess what I'm getting at though is that you would probably have an issue with your full-time neighbor doing the exact same thing as these short-term rentals are doing here. It just happens to be a short-term rental. Right? And so
Yeah.
is there a way that we can come up with requirements that address the issues that we have across the board
I think
in a fair and equitable way? What's that?
I think that is the perfect.
I think the other thing that you have to consider is, you can put down all the restrictions that you want, but if people don't want to live by them, they're not going to live by them.
Right.
So the one thing that I can say is the trash ordinance has gotten some people's attention. and they're trying to do something about it because it's out of their pocket. So maybe if we look at it more, instead of putting more restrictions on it, how do we enforce what we have? And how do we get back to the owners of those rental properties to make them want to control it better? Because they're the only ones who can, really. You know, we can ask the police to go out and, you know, break it up and do things. But maybe if you find a way, like the trash, to hit their pockets, it might be a way to get people's attention, and then have the restrictions get some meat in them.
Yeah.
You know, it's another way to look at it, versus more restrictions.
Yeah, I'm actually a deregulation kind of person, believe it or not. Like I say, this has been a problem, and we just need, like I said, I was looking last 2 months ago just for the parking thing, and I got that shot down. I was like, geez, easy. I said, I was kind of, you know.
It didn't get shut down, right? I mean,
I know.
And I addressed this.
Yeah,
There were concerns.
Something that I did not say.
Exactly.
Mine was, when you talk about one car per bedroom.
right.
If you've got a husband and a wife and they each have a car, and you got children in the other ones, then you can't say one car per bedroom.
Right.
That's what I said. I didn't say anything about being against,
Right.
parties.
That's what I recall as well. And so whether that math works or there's math that does work that we could get to,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and like, I understand your point, but the residents are the problem. It's just, I was gearing that towards short-term rentals.
But it's still.
But it's still
Yeah,
a
but
problem if the residents are.
If the residents,
If I have a full-time resident that buys the property on the other side of me, that parks, 20 cars down the street, throws trash in his yard and parties all night, doesn't matter whether he's a full-time resident or short-term.
I agree. Has that happened?
What's that?
Has that happened?
No, but it hasn't happened to me with the short-term rental beside me.
It hasn't, it's happened to me, that's what I'm trying to say,
I would be
there's a
equally-
difference.
I would be equally fired up about it as you are if it had happened.
It has happened.
But I guess what I'm saying is, you take the short-term rentals out of it, it doesn't matter who it is. If that person was doing it to you on a regular basis, whether it's a full-time resident or a short-term rental, it's still gonna drive you crazy and you're still gonna wanna do something about it. So why don't we as a town do something about it that would enforce it across the board instead of just on the VRBOs?
Then on the other debate, why are all these towns doing that across the country? Why are they?
I can't speak for that.
Well, I can, because I read all their ordinances.
Right.
It's a problem with the short-term rentals, not with the homeowners, not with the residents.
yeah, but you can't pass a law for short-term rentals that not apply to permanent residents.
Yes, you can. That's what that whole.
But if we can,
Yes, you can.
is there any reason to do it just for short-term rentals based on the 4 things that you've enumerated in this town?
Right.
Or should we just, as a town, decide that that's not something that we want? We don't want parties at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. in hot tubs, right? With people throwing trash in the yard, drunks laying out, and parking up and down the street.
Right.
Right? I mean, is that, in other words, do we need to carve that out for full-time residents and just say only short-term residents can do that?
But that's
Short-term residents can
exactly
do that?
what that 667 does.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not saying about the 667, I'm just
you're
saying
asking us
to
to look at.
to accomplish your intent, would it not accomplish the intent to just apply that across the board in 7 levels and not carve out short-term?
Then Lee has a point. Then Lee has a point. We can't do parking because it has.
She never said we can't do parking. She said what you proposed, the 1 car per bedroom, doesn't work for a lot of people. But she didn't say that a parking restriction would not work, right? We could probably get there, something that's somewhat reasonable. I don't know. I mean, but I think there's a discussion we had.
2 months ago, I tried that discussion. Like I said, I'm all for it.
But you tried the discussion, but nobody shot you down. She just brought that issue up. She didn't say, no one said no, that it wasn't a good idea.
It wasn't, then who supported it? Tell me someone that supported it.
I did.
I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't, but I did.
But I was like going, it just, I didn't see any support.
And I'm being supportive of it now, but I'm saying, why don't we take it and apply it across the board? That way lawsuits.
Yeah, and I go back to the same thing. Why do thousands of towns and cities across the country are doing that? Why are they making it just for short-term rentals?
Wait a minute.
I'm
Can I say
arguing
something?
that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I feel like we're trying to solve all the problems of the world in one meeting. We took on trees, now we're taking on short-term rentals. I think the way that you do this is break it down into pieces, and, maybe we have a subcommittee or something go off and come back with proposals. But to sit here, I feel like we're going in circles. You know, and if we could break it down and come back with some meat that we can look at, one topic at a time. Paid parking, let's talk about it. What can we do? What seems realistic? Look at other people, come back with a recommendation versus coming back with just all of the concerns. And that's how I feel we are right now. That we're talking around every issue and trying to solve it without solving it. So that's my recommendation. If we could maybe break it down and figure out how we work that into a planning schedule.
Okay, so what I would recommend then is, let's table this, let's have a discussion next meeting, next month. And maybe come back with some ideas and suggestions. Like I say, I'm not against anything. But
Well,
doing
you want to
that,
have the tree ordinance discussion next month.
right, well, I'm talking about short-term rentals.
Yeah, and
I know, but I mean, let's have them one at a time.
Well, I just wanna,
I can walk and chew gum at the same time, but if y'all want to do one at a time, that's fine.
Well, depends on how bogged down we get in.
Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down. This has been going on, like I say, for 10 years. I want to get some progress.
Well,
So
can I
I'm
ask a question though? So to me, it's like thousands of other people are doing, other towns are doing it. Greensboro is 200,000 people plus, whatever. Boone is 20,000, 30,000 people. Asheville is 150, 160,000 people. Seven Devils is 500. So the things that are required to make it work in towns of 200,000, 150,000, whatever, may not necessarily be a one-for-one for what it takes for the town of Seven Devils. And I think that's where we have to take a step back, and to your point, get some detail that for 500 people, even when you're renting it out, it's 500 people, right? Does it go to 2,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And you make a good point. Like I say, these big cities, they're different than us. There's no
Yeah.
question. If you look at the percentages though, our situation is worse. From what I understand, about 40% of our residents are short-term rentals. Who knows, 40% of theirs is not short-term rentals. Greensboro is not 40%. It's sure, it's much less than that. So our issue is actually worse than the big cities.
Well, it's different. It's different anyway.
Yeah, it's different. It's very different. But like I say, I'm open to discussions. I think it's a good thing. Let's find a win-win situation that can help people. Like I say, I think the town, we haven't done anything. If you do a search, we haven't done anything short-term rentals specifically. Well, I think it's time to do something. I just want to wait another 10
Well, let's
years.
go back to your situation though, and we're gonna take up the tree ordinance next month, and we'll, do some research and take up the rental thing another meeting instead of trying to do it all in one night.
Well, it's hard to solve, I think, complex topics in an hour and a half meeting, and if
I agree.
we continue to defer it, we're just gonna be talking about the same thing 6 months from now. I guess, I'm just curious, so we have an ordinance on trash, we have an ordinance on noise, is there an ordinance on parking at all in the neighborhood?
You can't park on the street.
You can't park on the street, that's it.
So
So,
gonna be your driveway is.
and I'm sorry, did I capture that? It's noise, it's
Right.
trash,
Yard
it's parking,
maintenance.
and yard maintenance.
We do have an ordinance on that.
On yard maintenance. So is the proposal then could it be to revise the parking ordinance and the yard maintenance ordinance potentially if that's not meeting the needs for these short-term rentals?
Yeah, and there might be.
Apply across the board.
Yeah, and anything would help.
Yeah.
And I'm not against the smallest of things. Like I say, I just want to try to do part of the thing last time. It didn't really seem to go anywhere. But also there's a question of, do we need permits for short-term rentals?
Right.
Every place is requiring new permits. So,
What
like I say,
does a permit give you? Just,
well, we have an accurate data of who and how many short-term renters we actually have.
That's one of the bills that we'll even, that
Yep.
the appeals court struck down, that you cannot
Yep.
require zoning permits just to get a registration.
That's right. And Greensboro is doing it now. Boone's,
They're doing it, but, you know.
like I said,
it's
it's
but it
different.
was struck down and so it could be potentially room for a lawsuit if we were to put something in place like that, correct? Go ahead, Larry.
Larry?
May I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Just as
Mr. Mayor.
SPR. We had a merit managers meeting on, last Monday, with Beach Mountain Blowing Rock. And, this is a hot button, it's everywhere. Everything, and I appreciate all the comments you're making. I sent a website to get a webinar, which will be here at 1 o'clock I sent it to
Yes, you did.
And if you forward that to the rest of the members, I think it's important because it's a study that's taken the conversations from many different states, many parts. And if you look at the bullet items on what I sent you, I think it'll answer or inform you. We need information as to what we can do. One thing that Boone, Blowing Rock has stressed is safety. And that seems to circumvent a lot of the issues if it's for safety, fire safety, correct alarms, O2 sensors, things like that. Deck, Beach Mountain's even inspecting decks.
Well, that's on fall
Well, they kill people too.
Oh,
Because they're overwhelmed. But they have an inspection, a building and inspection committee that is looking at stuff like that. So I encourage you, this is not a dead issue. The town council is well aware of this. We are also well aware of what lawsuits cost us. We're entertaining a lawsuit now that's probably in the $20,000 to $30,000. And this was for an appeal ruling that was unanimous by the Board of Adjustment. So we have to be careful. Do we do nothing? No. I was excited when I saw, and Boone has had this now for about 8 months. I talked to the mayor about it. He kind of said, well, we're going to give it a try. Blowing Rock's hasn't been so lucky. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting their 2 lawsuits. So all I can say is let's look at as much information as we can get. This is certainly something that is very important to us. Very important to us on the revenue side as well. But I feel really bad. A friend of mine, Bill McLean, lives in between 2 big rentals. And hot tub on one side, I mean, it's tough. He hasn't been up here, but he'll get a full dose of it. He came up today. He'll suffer. The only people that don't make anything, and this was a point brought out in Monday's meeting, the only people that don't benefit at all from this are the people, the long-term residents. And that's a shame. Because they suffer for this. All the inconvenience and everything fall right on that. So this is not something the council has ignored. This is something that we want to hit, we want to talk about, and we want to do something proactive. We don't want to get sued. Thank you.
When is this thing that you were talking about?
This is Thursday at 1 o'clock in here. The webinar is produced by a company named Avenue Insights. And we checked with them, there's apparently no charge. And we can, I think we get a copy or we can view it after that.
Yes.
If that time is, but we'll find out more about that tomorrow. Jonathan's going to give Jewel, I think she's already set it up. We're going to verify that.
Just, I'm sorry, to round it out, I'm just curious, the parking issues that you have seen with the rental that's beside you, is it parking on the street? Is it?
Parking, and they just fill up, they park all over the yards. I've seen that numerous times. Half state football games with people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, and Larry brings up a good point, finances. I was lucky in my house in the Lakes. I had air conditioning. No one else had air conditioning except for me. It was a big selling point for the realtor. Said, hey, you have air conditioning. In 6 years, almost everyone had to buy and install air conditioning because of the noise. Installing air conditioning down there, $10,000. That cost them because of short-term rentals. Who do we see about that? You know, the town's worried about getting sued. What about all these people that are spending their money to deal with it? I had to sell a house I loved. I didn't want to sell it, but I had to sell it. Where do I take my loss? Who do I see about that cost? Like you say, I don't want the town to get hurt either, but individuals are being hurt, and we need to look after them too. So that's all I'll say. Thank you.
So, but do you feel like it's just short-term rentals, or the people who own homes up here that only come up for the weekend, or they come up for so many months and they bring their families and they're up here to have fun because it's a vacation kind of spot for them. They're not renting it, but they're having a good time.
I don't have a
How
problem.
much, how much it is, well, you may not have a problem with it, or a problem.
Please bring it forward.
Right?
I haven't heard any problems from them, and if that's a problem with them, like I said, the residents are, so from what I see, are not the problem. The people that own and come up here vacations, summer renters, they come up here. I haven't seen any problem. If they are, let me hear about it. I would love to hear it. Every issue I've seen is with short-term renters. And they want to come have fun. I don't have a problem with that, but some people are trying to raise families. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
So then our action items are to properly participate in the webinar that Larry has and be prepared to discuss it.
Yeah, after we,
I've done a ton of research.
okay.
And I'm happy to get involved in any sort of parking discussion you want to, outside of this, so we can maybe come better equipped at the next meeting to make a proposal, so.
I think after we receive the program Thursday and get some other information, we can address this, and it's something that does need to be addressed, and we'll do that.
Thank
you. Okay. The CLUP review,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's actually not a review. This is just an update.
Just an update.
Just an update.
The numbers have been
Let the board know
updated.
kind of where we're at with it. I have changed the demographics, and that's about really the only thing I've changed on it, from the 2020 census, and the 2022, state, demographic survey. The club is on the website. It was put into the newsletter, that went out with the water bills, that was on the website, and encouraged people to go, review it, read it, make suggestions to it, send us suggestions through our comment, box on our website. And, we'll start collecting these comments, and, maybe at some point in time, I know the council now is looking at doing some forums, maybe on a quarterly basis. Maybe that's one of the items that could be discussed, one of the forums. But right now, we're just trying to collect data, and we're encouraging the residents to participate. I've had a few that have, probably copies of marked up of Clough, or maybe sent in a few, just sentences about some things they'd like to see in there. But that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just trying to get the ball rolling, and just letting the public have a little bit of voice in it.
Are you getting what you consider a good response?
Do you know if you've got any on your comments?
Well, the public comments email, which we have advertised, I received that.
And it just went out 1st of April.
Well, yeah, I've seen it on, I thought when we were gonna do this, we were going to guide the residents towards certain questions that we know are problematic, and force them to give answers about parking and noise or.
you can send out a questionnaire kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean.
That's one, early on, that's one thing that we had, kind of discussed. Do we want to do a survey, But, the chairman and I had a conversation that, to expedite things, it might be, better just to put it out there, make the changes we know need to be made to the demographics, update those, and then just let the citizens come in and put comments to it. Then, instead of trying to steer them to particular points that, we think maybe they should be looking at.
I know I'd really like to know what they think about shutting off new short-term rentals or, trees.
And really, the club's
But
probably not,
specific.
the club is not really the place for that, probably. It's more of the club's really a vision statement and a guide.
It guides us to what.
It guides us to make ordinances and how to construct ordinances. But it's not an enforcement document, and I don't know that we could say in that that's the place to say, do you want short-term rentals or not? Not that we wouldn't want some input on that.
That might not be a good example, but it does lead us to answer questions and pass on items, knowing what the community as a whole
Well,
is thinking, if it's any different than it was
Well, the club is pretty general. We might want to put together a questionnaire that we can send out concerning that, but also concerning some, ordinances, that we've discussed tonight, to get some general opinions on that, if you think that would help.
I just think it would give us a better idea of,
What they're
provide
thinking.
more community input for us and things that we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been my experience and being in planning for nearly 30 years, that if you're not being particularly bothered, Mr. Ryan has been, if it's not on your doorstep, you don't really worry about it.
Yeah.
And very few people put any input into it,
Yeah.
Right.
until it's on their doorstep.
Right.
And then they want the town or county to fix it.
Yeah.
So you put all the questionnaires out there you want, and unless they're having a direct issue with it, then
Yeah.
it's,
That's
they
true.
ignore it.
And is it possible to get an electronic version of that for markups?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can even get that.
like I say,
It's on the website, matter of fact.
huh?
It's on the website.
But can you download it as a, like a
It's
Word
a
document?
PDF.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
it's
PDF.
PDF.
It's a
But I mean,
PDF.
you can mark it up, but.
But I mean,
Well, it's a lot more difficult for people to mark up PDFs.
yeah, you can't.
Yeah, like I said, can we send it out to people who work for that?
Yeah, translate people.
I mean, we got it in Word format. How you talking about sending it out electronically? I mean, we don't have everybody's email address.
Yeah, I'd say if I asked you.
Oh, if you ask for it and you have email, sure.
Yeah, it's just easier than writing notes, you know what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna track changes so we can figure out the changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have it in Word format, so I can do that, I can email it. We just can't even blanket email it to the town.
I got
Yeah. So if somebody requests it, yes.
Okay. Okay, I think that pretty well covers our agenda. And we've got a couple things to work on for the next couple of meetings. Next on our agenda is citizen comments. Y'all hadn't heard too many comments already. We'd be glad to hear from you. Okay.
Go ahead. No, I'm gonna be longer. You don't know that. Tom Bookstaver, Snow Cloud, reference short-term rentals. I have some.
Have some
And they
short-term
shoot off,
rentals.
yeah, across the street.
Uh,
They shoot off fireworks 2 in the morning. I call the owner up saying, we're gonna woke me up, I'm waking you up. He doesn't like it. Also, last week there was a medical call. A while ago was a medical call at the corner of Buckeye and Cliff Dwellers. The cell phones are not the greatest up here. I don't know exactly, I'm gonna bring it up at the Public Safety Committee for a little heads up. Some people will call 911. Macon County got last week's call. Macon County has no clue where Seven Devils is. So why Macon, how it actually got paged out finally, I'm not 100% sure, but short-term rentals, and it was talked about, some people have their houses named the Sunshine House or the Mountaintop House. And it's like, no, we kind of need an address. And so if that can be, I don't believe it's, maybe Colt can possibly handle something like that. The call at Cliff Dwellers, Buckeye intersection, the owner of that house put in a phone similar to the community center. You pick it up and it's right from 911. You can't dial out on it, but you are talking, because when I finally got the call, I did head over there, and she was running down the street screaming, "Do you have a cell phone? My husband, my husband." I was like, I had my defibrillator and I didn't have my medical bag. But that was just kind of concluded that enough information got out to us going on the call, but she got cut off. And there's a lot of cell phone area for medical provider, I guess.
It depends on who you have your service with.
And so, as for Hillary Wayne and I kind of just ballpark talked about it a little bit. Like, oh, where are you? It's like, you know, you are in Avery County, you are in Watauga County. This is the physical address. If you have a 911 call, I mean, renters aren't expecting you to say, "Oh, I'm having chest pains." They're having a good time, but if they were to have chest pains,
good for them to know how to tell 911 how to get help to them. So, but if you do hear about it, it'll be coming up over the next, say, few months, like I say, through different committees. So thank you very much.
What's the actual proposal though, or are you proposing just to make sure that the short-term rentals post their address in a visible way, or?
Have that information.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll bring it up at the Public Safety Committee. Yeah, you could put a note on the refrigerator saying, this is your physical address here, you need to call 911. Well, what if they can't dial 911? I'd say somebody, I won't say any names, but Verizon was their provider, I heard, and it went to Macon County. Wow. I know when I worked at Avery County 911, I would get phone calls or 911 calls. I would say, what county are you in? Because I knew you were in Avery County. They didn't know which county they were in either. So, as for, rental company saying, if you have an emergency, you need to know this information. What if it's a little child? Mom or dad has collapsed. They might know their address at home because that's what they teach at school. But they don't know the rental address. So it's something that's going to be, I hope to bring up as time goes on, just to make it easier for me. So,
Thank you.
I guess I wonder why we don't cover everybody, but the people who rent up here, like Carolina Cabins, why don't make them responsible for providing this information to their renters?
Why don't they want? See, why do they
Why
not?
don't we make them responsible?
Require
Oh,
them
oh,
to provide it to the renters. I mean, I have to call the owner of the people around me, I have to call Miami, but I can call Carolina Cabins.
yeah.
I think if we can't enforce them to keep their trash in their cans, it's gonna be hard for us to do business.
Well, if they gonna rent up here, we can enforce it.
And one of the flaws with that is that, let's say a Fosco rental, Carolina Cabin, while we may have a local number, a large portion of the short-term rentals are not Airbnb, and there is no way to contact them or have them enforce our desires. So that would be a flawed way of thinking. It's not a bad way of thinking, it's just maybe an improbable way.
And that's part of the permit that a lot of these towns are requiring short-term rentals to do. Some of the safety things that Larry talked about is having that data, so Jonathan can retrieve that quickly. So he knows exactly where the short-term rentals are, and we could deal with that quickly. I know, it's more work for Jonathan and for Eddie and everything, but that's what these other towns are doing, that's part of that process. And it's a shame that we can't, that people are suing because we want to solve those problems, and they're not letting us do that.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Your turn.
Thank you. Mary Bellinger, 526 Buckeye Lane. So I usually have things written down so I can keep everything in order. So let me see if I can do this. First of all, thank you for the discussion tonight. Much of what I heard are concerns that we've had for quite a while. So I appreciate that they're being voiced and hopefully they'll be addressed. Regarding the short-term rentals and just what was brought up, I think if we look at our ordinances that we have in place and just enforce, they're crazy. Not multiple chances or warnings or anything. It's just if we see something that's not right, we call out and we report it. I think because of the nature of our area where we have people that have homes that maybe here are year round, maybe they're only here summer, not everybody's seeing things as they're happening in real time. So I think the best we can do is when we're here and we see something is we report it. And I know that does bog down our law enforcement, but it's the only way. We've got an ordinance that enforces it. If we see the garbage cans knocked over and we do our bit when we're out walking and take our picture, and sometimes it's like, well, do we call or do we got to call? And just follow up on that. The 911, I know some people have feelings about even having their numbers posted.
Some I've seen upside down, I've seen them half off, I've seen them every which way. And, I know that, Tom may know where a lot of these places are, he may have known the history of the house, but if you call it by a name, he may know where that is based on who owned it. But he may not, or someone else, just the basic 911 numbers, that needs to be enforced, I think. So I think consistently, I could just go around a small area of town and see it's not enforced. Going to the comprehensive land use plan and short-term rentals, I think if you go back and read it and reread it like you've done, look at what the vision is for an area. That's going to guide where you're going with rentals and whatever other changes go on here. What is it that you see this as? And I saw this in print and everything, reading that, are we see ourselves as a resort or do we see ourselves as residential? At this point, we're a pretty good combination, but that resort or that, not resort that you moved back in 1979, but what that is now, where that's going to go. You're starting to approach 40% and 50% of your area being rental, being transient. That's different. And again, we bought here because at that time we had some family here. It was a great place to be. We loved it here. And we wanted to get away from that because we have been around that most of our lives, around that transient population. So I'm just saying, if you look back at the land use plan, we'll see how much the guidance it is. And if everyone that has not looked at it yet or not responded, we have been urging everyone we can to look at it. It's guiding everything. It's guiding the concerns we had last summer. It's guiding every move that we make. So it needs to be taken to heart and taken seriously. And last thing, Mr. Fontaine, is the public invited Thursday at 1 o'clock?
I will see what else.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Anyone on the planning board have anything they haven't said yet? Okay. Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, have a motion, second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
Eddie was just here, just FYI.
Yeah, that's just FYI.
Stay busy all day. Really? University. Saw that.
Yeah, that's a real
See us do. Gentlemen, how are things? So, well, so far so good. Really good. You doing okay? Good. Busy, but good.
And we talked about issues on your Gonna be back home? They're responsible for their property. You brought water with you, I think. Yeah.
And you said that it had all these been all right. Good to see you. Glad you're back. Yeah, I talked to Robbie, because, with mine, I take the mailbox a couple of times, of course, they haven't been, I'm here, maybe, see, before we took mail. And I remember last time I went in the house, they knew somebody was in there, they didn't know what it was. So I, took the mail and put it in the mailbox. And, huh?
No.
Did you turn it off? We're on a hot mic?
Yes.
Well, you didn't really sit down.